Okay. Please, Vassiliki, the floor is yours.
Yes. Okay, so welcome back, everyone. Uh, in the last live session, we built the physical smart lab. We assessed your space. We chose some of the equipment you will need and planned the layout and budget. Now in Unit 3.3, we face a different challenge. Many smart labs get built and then they quietly stop operating. Why does this happen? We think not because the smart lab was a bad idea to start with, but because it was never properly embedded in the institution. That is what this unit is about. Turning your smart lab from a project into an institutional capability. And we think the way to do this is through strategy. So let's begin. So, can you see the slides changing? Yes, okay. There are 6 objectives for this unit. Uh, by the end of Unit 3.3, you will have a strategic framework, a document that defines where your smart lab is going, how it connects to your institution, who needs to support it, and how you will know if it is working. That framework is your deliverable, and everything in this session feeds into it. The 6 objectives are the building blocks: analysis, vision and goals, engagement strategy, integration pathways, governance, and monitoring. We will cover all of them, some briefly and some in more depth. I want to start by simply making the case for strategy. Look at the two. I don't know if the slides are changing. I think they're not. Okay, I want to start
Yes.
by simply they are delayed. I don't know why. It's okay. So I want to start by simply making the case for strategy. There are 2 columns here. Without institutional strategy, your smart lab becomes as isolated. It depends on one enthusiastic person, and when that person is no longer in the picture, it stagnates. So there is no shared vision, no faculty engagement. It is fragile from the beginning because it is dependent. With a strategic approach, the picture changes completely. There is a shared vision that survives personnel changes, and faculty are engaged and deliver entrepreneurship education as a core function and not just an outcome. The transition from the left column to the right is what this unit enables. Uh, the next slide is defining strategic versus operational planning. But before we go any further, one important distinction uh, I need to make because confusing these two leads to real problems. So, strategic planning answers where are we going and why. It works on a 3 to 5 year old horizon. Operational planning answers what exactly are we doing next month. It works on a 1 year or shorter horizon. Both are necessary, but they answer different questions and serve different purposes. The most common mistake in smart lab development is jumping straight to operational planning, buying equipment, without doing the strategic groundwork first. As a result, a smart lab that works well at first then runs out of momentum because there is no institutional direction behind it. This unit is about doing the strategic groundwork. Um, your operational plans will flow from the strategy you build here. The strategic planning process we use has 5 phases. Think of it as a cycle. Phase 1 is analysis and assessment, understanding your current reality, where you are, what you have, what you are working with. Phase 2 is vision and goal setting, deciding where you want to go and defining measurable goals that show you're getting there. Phase 3 is a strategic formulation, making choices basically. Phase 4 is implementation planning, translating strategy into specific actions with timelines, responsibilities, and resources. And lastly, phase 5, monitoring and adaptive management, basically checking whether it's working and adjusting when it is not. The cycle returns to phase 1. The data from monitoring informs the next round of analysis. Strategic planning starts with analysis. Before deciding where to go, you need to understand where you already are. And there are two dimensions to that. First of all, internal analysis. You need to think about 4 questions. What entrepreneurship education activities already exist in your institution? What is the capacity and interest of your staff? What do your students already know and what do they want? And lastly, does your leadership see entrepreneurship education as a priority? And then we have external analysis. Different questions. What skills are employers in your region actually demanding? What external partners, mentors, and companies could support your Smart Lab? What are peer institutions doing? And what can you learn from them? The honest answer to these questions is the foundations of everything that follows. This is the analysis you need basically for your strategy. You can even think right now as a question: does your institution have a clear picture of what skills employers in your region most need from vet employer graduates, or is that a gap? So, the SWOT framework uh, organizes your analysis into 4 categories. You have probably used it before, so you know what it is, but let me show you how it applies with Smart Labs. So the strengths is what you already have: existing entrepreneurship activities, faculty, connections, or reputation. Then the weaknesses is what is holding you back. It could be limited faculty expertise, competing priorities, lack of equipment, or an updated curriculum that doesn't help the situation. Then opportunities is what could you take advantage of: national policies, funding, um, the entrepreneurial ecosystem in your country, and of course, pulse. And lastly, the threats is what undermines your Smart Lab: economic uncertainty, instabilities, competition, of course, and negative student perceptions of VET. The real value of SWOT is if you combine all of this. So, for example, your strengths can be used to exploit opportunities or help you manage threats, etc. Your SWOT analysis is also part A of your strategic framework reflection exercise. So, this is something that could also help you reflect on your actual institution. With analysis complete, you define where you want to go. So, 2 things here. First of all, the vision and then the goals. Vision is aspirational and stable, and it answers the questions: what are we ultimately trying to achieve for our students? Goals are specific and measurable. They answer: how will we know we are making progress towards that vision? Goals must be SMART, meaning specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So, for example, a bad goal is, for example, improve student entrepreneurship skills, because that is something that you cannot measure. But on the contrary, a good goal is, for example, by 2026, 80% of graduating students will demonstrate proficiency in at least 3 competencies. the difference is you are aiming for a percentage, a time frame, and a method, right? You have a method. So these goals, of course, need KPIs. We know a few things about this, key performance indicators, to track the progress. This is how you measure whether your goal is being achieved. So good KPIs have four qualities. They are comparable, they are connected, directly linked to your strategic goals, they are understandable to all stakeholders, and timely because they are measurable within a cycle. 5 areas to track are student competence development, user satisfaction, curriculum integration, smart lab utilization, and graduate outcomes. Examples are student workshop completion rate, for example, or hours of smart lab usage per month. My advice is to choose between 4 to 6 KPIs, and the ones that are most directly tell you whether your strategy is working. Strategy formulation is where you make the difficult choices. With your analysis done and your goals defined, you now need to decide on priorities and approaches. And there are 4 decisions. Who is your primary target? What partnerships will you build? How will you develop your faculty? And how will resources be allocated? These 4 decisions are what we call the core of your strategy. Everything else, the activities, the equipment, flows out of this. So, one of the most critical strategic decisions is how entrepreneurial skills integrate with your existing programs. This slide gives you the 3-level framework for that. So, level 1 is curricular, the deepest integration. Level 2 is co-curricular, building around your curriculum. And lastly, level 3 is recognition, formal acknowledgement. The best approach uses all 3 levels, but start where you can. If level 1 is not yet possible, start with level 2 and build toward level 1 as you demonstrate the impact. So, the success of your strategy also depends fundamentally on faculty. They control the curriculum, they influence the students, and they can provide the day-to-day implementation. We separate faculty into 3 categories, and you need a different approach for each category. The first one is open enthusiasts, faculty already interested in entrepreneurship and innovation. The skeptical ones, the ones who need evidence before they commit to something. And lastly, the more resistant ones, faculty who remain unconvinced even if they have been exposed. The professional development framework operates at 3 levels: knowledge on what entrepreneurship is and why it matters, application, how to integrate it into teaching, and lastly, leadership, how to mentor entrepreneurs and champion the smart lab. Your strategy will succeed or fail based on whether the right people are behind it. Stakeholder engagement is about building the coalition that makes the smart lab durable. So we have 4 groups: institutional leadership, which is the directors, the deans, the boards, faculty and staff, the peer ambassadors, professional development, and visible recognition, the students, which are your primary beneficiaries and could also be co-designers of the smart lab, and lastly, external partners, employers, mentors, NGOs, and funders. For each group, be specific on what will you do, who is responsible, and how will you measure the effectiveness of your engagement. Sustainable strategy requires formal governance. This is how your smart lab becomes embedded to your institution. So we have four governance elements: the steering committee, which is the institutional leadership; working groups, which is the implementation groups for specific program areas; the Smart Lab manager, which is the day-to-day operational lead; and lastly, an advisory board. That can be external stakeholders, from employers to mentors to industry experts, and of course, alumni. At some point, the Pulse project will end, and so will the funding. So if you have not planned for sustainability from the beginning of your Smart Lab, there is a danger that the activity of the Smart Lab will gradually fade. So sustainability planning must start from now. Um, Six cost categories to plan for are staffing, training, facilities, consumables, programming, and technology. No single funding source should represent more than 40% of your total budget, because depending on any single source creates vulnerability for anything you are trying to build on. So the question to ask yourself right now is, what is your plan? If you do not have an answer, building that answer, finding that answer is your priority. With a strategy defined, implementation planning translates strategic choices into actions. For each strategic initiative, you need six things. What is the initiative? When does it happen? And who is accountable? What resources does it require? I'm not sure why it's not moving. Okay. So, what is the initiative? Who is accountable? And how will you know it succeeded? On phasing, there are three approaches for implementation: pilot first, then phase rollout, and then full implementation. For most, pilot first is the right approach. So I would suggest to run your Smart Lab with first one program, then demonstrate the impact, and then expand based on evidence. Then we have the final phase, which is monitoring and adaptive management. Monitoring is not about proving your Smart Lab is successful. It is about knowing whether it is working and change when it's not. The monitoring framework operates at four levels: activity, output, outcome, and impact. The adaptive management cycle is four steps: collect data, analyze findings, adjust strategy, and then lastly, update your plans. And when should you trigger a strategic review outside the normal cycle? There are four situations: evidence that the program is not working, significant change student or employer needs, environmental changes, or unexpected success that creates new opportunities. I want to address a tension that a lot of institutions are experiencing. First of all, is the bottom-up innovation driven by individual faculty and staff or student initiatives, and then the top-down integration that is driven by institutional policy and leadership mandate. The most effective institutional strategy combines both. Bottom-up initiatives keep the Smart Lab alive and exciting. Top-down structures keep it sustainable and scalable. And I think both are very important. Your Smart Lab strategy should not exist as a separate document. Um, that sits next to your institution's strategy, but it should be embedded within it. So there are 4 alignment points: mission alignment, strategic priorities, performance management, and lastly, external relations. The fundamental point, effective integration, transforms the smart lab into something that is capable within an institution. So, you cannot see it yet, but we have reached our reflection exercise. Now you can. Your reflection exercise for Unit 3.3 has 3 parts. This is your strategic framework, and it's the foundation of your final action plan for Module 3.7 that we will Unit 3.7. Part A is the strategic analysis, Part B is the strategic goals, and Part C is the stakeholders. This exercise, I think, takes around 45 minutes if you do it properly. And the quality of your final action plan is directly proportional to the quality of your strategic work you do here. So I would suggest to take this time and do the reflection exercise, even if it's not mandatory. In Unit 3.4, we move to mentoring. Research consistently shows that the quality of mentoring relationships is more predictive of student success than the sophistication of equipment. So that is what comes next. Thank you for your time, and see you on Unit 3.4 next week.
Thank you, Vassiliki.
Thank you.
Once
Thank
again,
you.
sorry for the delay, but I mean, these are kind of small risks of the live session.
It's okay because I tried to make the presentation briefer today, so I don't think we will get out of our timeline.
No,
It's
no,
okay.
no, it's okay. And thanks again. It was very interesting. I don't know if someone has a question or comments to do related to this presentation. Let me check in the chat. Yes, everyone is just saying thank you.
Thank you very much.
Abdulhamid.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you for your time.
Can I have asked something?
Yes.
First of all, there is a delay for the message. I don't know for the connection, and I will follow the presentation through the platform. But can I ask you something?
Yes.
For you and for others, what is the difference between Fab Lab, Smart Lab, Innovation Center? Was what I'm studying now. We see during your feed.
I cannot hear you clearly. If you want to get your
What is the difference between Smart Lab, Fabrication Laboratory, Fab Lab, and Smart Lab? Do you have an answer?
Well, we covered that in Unit 3.1. The difference is the goals of each space. So usually Fab Labs are mainly focused on creation of things, whereas in Smart Lab and within Pulse, we want these spaces to serve multiple purposes, from mentoring to, of course, developing entrepreneurial skills and not just business ideas, right?
Okay, can we say that the Fab Lab is a part of an innovation center or a Smart Lab?
Well, Fab Lab is in the name, like it's a fabrication laboratory.
Fabrication laboratory, yeah, where we can produce anything. I mean, we need like for someone who has an patient can do the prototype and so on. So what we are doing
Exactly.
now in
So
our college.
the Pulse Smart
But
Labs can also have these components. They can serve as a prototyping spaces or business idea development, but it should not be only one of these things.
so what
That's
we have now, just we can give an answer if you can see. I mean, innovation center is a part where we can have a smart lab and a fabrication laboratory, including all what we are talking about, strategy, uh, so on so. So is that okay? Innovation center.
I cannot hear you clearly. I don't know why.
Innovation center.
Innovation. Yes, of course. That's a nice way to put it.
Can
Yeah.
we say that innovation center is including, it could be including a smart lab and fabrication lab? I mean, part of innovation center.
Well, yes, it's all of this combined. It's a computer lab, a business incubator, a makerspace. It's multi-purpose, right?
Yeah, so thank you very much. I understand that.
Now
Okay.
I can hear you very
Okay.
clearly.
No,
I don't know.
I understand it. What we have in my college is innovation center. Innovation center that would
Innovation
include all,
center.
yes, innovation center. This is include all the parts that we are talking about. Smart
Mhm.
lab, fabrication laboratory, including of course computers and
Computers.
people's committees and so on, so on. So all together working together in innovation center.
Yes, exactly. So
Okay.
different names for the same thing, basically.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, are there other question or curiosity, things that you want to ask to Vassiliki?
Not especially, really. Thank you, Vassiliki, for your presentation. It was clear, focused on the ideas were clear for me. So thank you very much.
I invite everyone to also see the presentation of the Unit 3.3 because it's more explanatory, it has more details. What I'm trying to do in the live sessions is to make the information more simple, and then we discuss if you have ideas or if you have feedback. That's the idea of the live sessions. So thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Vassiliki,
Vassiliki.
there's a question that was dropped by Sonia in the chat. She's asking whether we have an idea about materials and equipments of Smart Lab and if there are standards of creation of Smart Labs.
Well, this is the content we covered in Unit 3.2, so last one. So this is the content is there. You can go over it again on your own time. But the idea is to first make your own analysis of your institution, see what your students need. So, for example, if your institution doesn't have mechanical engineering or informatics or all these things, if it's more social science based, I don't know, I'm just saying, maybe you don't need some of the equipment that we have suggested. Uh, so that's the idea that each institution buys the equipment that they need based on their context. We have suggested prototyping equipment, for example. We think it's very versatile and it's very helpful and inspiring for your students that will get the first taste, let's say, of the smart lab. It helps get them more engaged because they will have an immediate outcome from their effort. But yes, there are many directions you can take.
Thank you, Vassiliki. In any case, I remind to all of you that since all the session, even the live, I mean, all the live session are recorded, we upload the recording both in the platform and in the drive. Today I will upload it just in the drive because it's a bit late, and then tomorrow I will upload it also in the platform, and I will send you like an email with the link so you can have access also to the previous presentation in case you missed something. Okay. I think that's all. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Vassiliki. Thanks a lot. Bye bye. So see you next week for
Next.
the other live session, which will be on Wednesday because this was just a special time because of the celebration. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.